And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba and the Bloom, episode 60. Going to talk about some main event ADP versus some second chance draft ADP fallers and see how we think if it's a rebound or not type situation. So that'll be a lot of fun. Talk about some recent news, play our weekly game, which last weekend, head scratcher, and much, much more. But first off, you can find myself on Twitter at BDentric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ. Ryan Bloomfield, how are we doing, my friend?
We're doing great. Let's see what other premonitions we can speak into existence this week.
Nostra Bloom
after last week.
Nostra Bloom. Crazy.
I mean, I threw out the crazy one was John Singleton, who I didn't even. I mean, figured he's still alive. I had no idea he was still playing baseball.
Not a major league pulse.
No, or even in the minor. Like I had no clue. So that was hilarious when Singleton got called up this week. I think he's hitting like below 200, but whatever. But the Manoah thing was just wild. I still swear he was optioned last week, but I guess I was wrong. But it still happened. I guess what did Manoah? Did he even get out of the first inning this week?
It felt
not. I think.
Yeah, I didn't think he did. He got blown up.
Yeah, it was rough. But I don't know. We'll see what we come up with this week, man. I don't know.
Yeah, if at any time through the podcast, Ryan mentions Christian Encarnacion Strand getting called up in the next couple of days, just remember, go to your waiver wires now and add him because it's coming soon.
Or Edwin Encarnacion, who actually there was a stat tonight. I forget where I saw it. Probably Sarah Lang's. Who knows? In honor of J Ram's 3-homer night, the last Cleveland Guardian to hit 3 home runs was the parrot himself, Edwin Encarnacion.
So. God, what a legend E5 was.
Yeah,
the amazing thing is you could have a nickname E5 because you can't play defense to save your life, but he had quite the career because he could hit bombs left and right. Like that's quite the beautiful situation he fell into.
Oh yeah.
For those that don't know where E5 came from, he played third base with the Reds when he was a prospect.
The Reds
was horrific. Could not do anything, and Joey Votto wasn't moving at that time, boys and girls. So, long time ago for E5. But it's going to be interesting to see where some of these prospects get called up. You talk about an E5 reference. Didi Gregorius just got a minor league deal with the Mariners because Didi was playing in Mexico and was leading the Mexican League. I think he had like 11 home runs and he's just crushing baseballs. So the Mariners gave him a shot in the minors for now. So we'll see how that one plays out.
You never know where some of these names are going to come back from, man.
Yep. Good old Didi. All right, let's talk about some recent news and notes before we get into our weekly game here. You kind of said it already. Alek Manoah, he got sent to. I've called it a million different spots. Like I call it the Florida training facility, rookie ball. It's the Florida complex. Basically, it's their spring training facility. It's where Roy Halladay went when he was struggling, and we saw how that turned out. Manoah's got a lot to work on between his ears. He's got a lot of mechanical stuff to work on. I don't think this is going to be a quick fix. So we've talked about dropping him already before. But it'll be. I did say this on the First Pitch podcast to try to be optimistic. We will see him again this year. I guarantee you that he will be back sometime this year, and it can't get much worse. But I think we'll see a different Alek Manoah. Let's put it that way. No, I don't know if he's going to be an ace. He might be more like a Lance Lynn, but he'll be back.
It was definitely a little shocking to see like him at first. Yeah, I think everyone just assumed he'll go to AAA. But now it kind of makes sense for him to go basically all the way down and just restart. And like you said, it's more just he's going back into the lab as opposed to like pitching competitively in games, which probably is the right move. I agree. We'll probably see him again. I agree. An easy cut. I do wonder, like, there probably isn't a worse graphic that you could have made this year. Like I would took like Brandon Woodruff, who made like 2 starts, but then at least you're not getting Manoah ratios. I mean, I can't think of like that out of any first 5-round pick. I mean, Manoah has to be the one because he's just buried you in 3 or 4 categories because he wasn't getting strikeouts, wasn't getting wins, and buried you in ratios.
Yeah, because you're still throwing him out there, and then he throws like that 7 shutout inning performance in Yankee Stadium to get your hopes back up. So you keep throwing him back out there. And it's just. Yeah, and it's funny because I talked about it with Sarah Sanchez on her show. The only place that I drafted Alek Manoah, and I wanted 0 Alek Manoah, I got him where I thought he fell like around 6 or 7 in Tout Wars, and it was because he was like my 4th starting pitcher. and it's an innings pitched league, which is what he does very well. He gets
Mm-hmm.
tons of innings pitched, and I was like, okay, this is a good spot to have him in. I've had him benched for at least 2 or 3 weeks already, and I think I actually dropped him this last week. He was already dropped before he got sent down, so it sucks. Hope he gets better. We'll see where it goes from there. The Jays can use him because their pitching's okay, but they're one little hiccup away from having a problem in that rotation once again.
Yeah.
Stop me if you've heard of this before. Jorge Polanco leaves the game with a hamstring injury. Early reports are he's day to day. That's, of course, what they're going to say. They'll do more testing on Friday, of course. But, man, like, what in the world is going on here with Jorge? Because the weird thing is he comes back and he actually plays decent. Like, he's playing okay, and then he just goes and gets hurt again. So I'm almost at the point where I'm just going to drop him here pretty soon because I'm just sick of it. But we'll see how the reports come back, obviously. This is just a big blow.
I'm close to so I have Polanco in my main event and drafted him knowing he was hurt and but it was the knee, and then he comes back and like you said, Bubba, hitting well and really on the season, Polanco 250, 5 home runs, 126 plate appearances, like not bad. But this is the same hamstring that forced him to the IL earlier in the season. Like something's not right there, and even if they're saying, "Oh, it's not that bad," could miss the IL, it's extremely concerning. The only other thing is since I do have Polanco on that team, it is extremely barren, the middle infield replacement level, and at least in 15 teamers. So I'm probably holding on for a little bit, but it's just one of those things where how does this magically get right in the middle of the season where Polanco took 2 weeks off or 2 or 3 weeks with the original IL stint, and obviously something's still not right. So how does it magically get better after a recurrence and then 3 days off? That's my concern. Is it just he plays through this, toughs it out, and you end up with like a Luis Robert situation where you're just in and out all year, and it just nags.
Yep, it's pretty painful. Like, I didn't draft him anywhere, but I picked him up in an OC. Someone dropped him before he came to start the season with the knee injury. So I got him cheap. I'm like, okay, I'll stash him. He's coming back in 2 weeks, see what happens. And I held on to him during the first hamstring injury. But this almost reminds me of when Jonathan India last year, hamstring came back, got hurt again.
That's probably a better comp than whoever the hell I said.
Then he was out for a month and a half or so to get completely right. So I'm waiting to hear a little more information, but this could be a Sunday. Hey, we're already getting towards the middle of June. I got to start making moves. We can't hang on and play this game much longer. So we'll see how Jorge Polanco goes. But you said that there's not much in the middle infield world. Well, I hate to break it to you, Ryan. Elly De La Cruz is up if you have $5. And my goodness, first game, he hits this rocket double off the wall at 112 miles an hour. Second game, just hits one almost out of Great American Small Park. He's crushing baseballs. On Thursday against Clayton Kershaw, gets an infield single, steals a bag. Yep. He's doing everything. He's playing second. He's played shortstop and third base. He's hitting cleanup. Is he going to be this way every game? No, there's going to be smokers. He does strike out a lot. He's striking out a lot. That's something to keep in mind. But so far through 3 games, he is beyond as advertised to me. And he's going to go for a hefty chunk of change this weekend.
That's the question, man. Is so you just need to think about and we could nitpick the De La Cruz strikeout rate, whatever, but this is the best prospect that we've seen come up so far this year. I'm not going to say there won't be more like him. Yes, he's probably the best one to come up this year, but there will still be good hitting prospects coming up this summer. I think I fell into that trap last year almost every week saying, oh, this is your last chance to get a good. This isn't that. But it is the opportunity to get a likely game changer in power speed. So the question you need to ask yourself this weekend is, how much money are you comfortable having in Fab after this weekend?
Yep.
What is that number? And I think if you need De La Cruz, if you're interested, take that number minus what you have, and that's your bid. For me, I don't know what that number is. For me, that number is probably $100, $150. Where if I got De La Cruz and had $150, I'd make it work. But there's still so much season to go. I can't. It sounds like you're gonna have to. Whoever has the hammer is gonna use it in most leagues, and you're gonna be left with $40, $50. I just can't see myself doing that over the last 3 months. It will just be a brutal brutal stretch to finish it out if that happens.
Yeah, that's my conundrum right now because it's really funny looking at like I keep keeping track because I make waiver moves each week, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing really good in hitting in this league, but not in pitching. The other league is really, really good in pitching, not good in hitting. So maybe the league's not doing good in hitting. Like it might be time to unload, and it's 12-team format. So if I just kind of do some math and go, okay, if I have let's say $4 to $5 a week, so I can make dollar moves each week
Mm-hmm.
in a 12-team, you can almost make that work, especially if you start thinking about it by like the last month and a half or so of the season. Half the league's probably already like a quarter of the league at least has given up. And then the bids just go down. It's just natural science to the whole thing. So that'd be my kind of ideas. Think about how much are you good with weekly? Like, are you good with just dollar moves? Do you want to make $2 moves? Like, what do you want to have in your budget? Kind of what is what Ryan was saying, but that's how I would calculate it out and see what happens. So I have some very good soul searching to do this weekend because I could use
What's
him in a
your
few.
number? How comfortable are you?
I think if I had
Fab number wise.
if I had an average $4 to $5 a week, I think I'd be pretty confident. So we have like 14 weeks left, give or take. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. I don't know. So let's say 5's 20. That's what
we've
70
done about
bucks.
10 runs so far.
So
Feels about right.
So yeah, so we got about 7. Yeah, it is. I did week 10 of Fabulous last week because I wrote it up, so I should know this. So say I leave $70, $75.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel warm and fuzzy? No. But if you're, I'm not saying desperation, like you don't want to be a desperate person, but we've seen game changers that can literally just completely uproot a team and put you on the mood. Like if this guy's as legit as advertised, and say he hits even like, because average might be an issue with strikeouts, but say he hits 270, and I might be estimating too. I haven't even looked at the rest of season projections. Say it's 270, and he hits. We have 14 weeks left. Let's say he hits 17 home runs because he's gonna have a couple 2 home run weeks, and he goes and steals you 15 back. Let's say he goes 15-15, hits 270,
which is what the projection is, like 250, but homer speed wise, that's about what they're saying.
That's pretty darn valuable
in
the grand scheme of it. So that's why I wanted to like put it like a number, not just the fab number, but like the stats you're going to get number, because he's hitting cleanups. So he's going to drive in a ton of runs in that. If he's hitting 15 home runs and hitting 250, he's going to score at least 15 runs, obviously, probably more like in the 40-ish range. So let's just say 15-15, 40 runs scored, maybe even 50 RBIs. Like that's insane. And I might be overdoing it. I get it.
They're not. I mean, that's basically what I've got them right in front of me. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
That's a game changer. And I'm not saying anything no one knows. Obviously, everyone knows how good he is. Everywhere you go, they're going to say game changer. But that's where I think people that listen to our show enough know neither one of us like to spin big and fab. That's pretty evident. But I think this is one of the first guys that I'm just like, okay, this is
a little unbubba like.
Because
I like it though.
Because I've been like studying my stuff, and I'm in reach in a couple leagues. Like I'm in second place in an OC, and I'm sitting there like 170 overall. Will I win the whole thing? No. But could this guy give me the boost I need? It could help a ton. Like Ezekiel Tovar is my middle infielder. Like hello, that's called an upgrade. Like so, it's just little like it's hell. Tim Anderson's my shortstop. I could rather play Elly De La Cruz with Tim Anderson right now, as bad as things are. It's just. Yeah, so I got some soul searching to do this weekend, and it could be interesting.
My fun fact that really nobody cares about. My biggest fab bid ever. I spent over $500, very unBloomfield like, on rookie Yordan Alvarez in 2019. And it makes a difference. He hit 313, 27 home runs in a little over half a season. Like I mean, so I don't want to. Yes, I'm very conservative. I probably will not get Elly De La Cruz anywhere just because my number of what I want in fab is going to be too high. Thus, my bids are going to be too low. But I certainly get it.
Well, and I'd have to go and look too, and I don't want to give all my secrets away on the show. But in most of my leagues, I have around $300 left over. Some less, some more. I still don't think I'm going to get them. Even if I say I have 300 and I put 240 down, I don't think that wins. That's the problem. Like I could put the bid out and think I'm doing something crafty, and I don't. It's literally if you have the most money in your league, find out who's second and bid over $1.
Well, and that's
your bid.
Or do you get cute and do you say, I bid $10 more than the third place guy, saying the second place guy is going to do that same logic? Yeah. There's so much. It's kind of fascinating. It's going to be really fun.
If I got cute like that and lost, I would never forgive myself.
You get so pissed.
I would never forgive
because you're the second place guy or girl who has this, they're not going to spend every single dollar. I mean, I would be shocked, but yeah, that would suck to like try and game the system and lose it. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating. Game theory, fascinating. There are a couple pitchers this weekend too.
I know,
Mr. Abbott and Smith-Shawver. So it's
funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that because I have all my notes. So while I'm doing work, I wrote down to remind myself come Saturday. Olsen from Detroit's been actually pretty decent, and he's going to be way overlooked in this whole cha-cha. Smith-Shawver making his debut on Friday, for starting debut on Friday, and then Andrew Abbott, as you mentioned. So some pitchers as well. It's going to be a wild weekend. 10 p.m. Eastern is going to be awesome on Twitter. Let's put it that way.
Get your high noons ready.
Yeah,
not a sponsor.
Yes, they should be. Doors always open, people. No monetary nature. Just send us some stuff. That's all we need.
They are in the show logo, which may or may not violate copyright. Whatever.
Come at me. It means we have to sit at the table together, so we're in. All right, enough Elly De La Cruz. Everyone's going to talk about him all week. That was just our 2 cents on the matter. Jacob deGrom, Tommy John surgery. I mentioned this before when the first report came out. It moves to the 60-day IL. More news to come. I said the more news to come. I even quote tweeted it. That's what concerns me. And then the next day, TJ. Obviously, it's a year. I think we don't see him until 2025. That's my 2 cents on the matter. So obviously, you're dropping him. They still have their Cy Young candidate, Nathan Eovaldi. So the Rangers are fine. Yep. But I don't know. There's not a whole lot you can say here, but what are your thoughts on?
No, I mean, it just sucks. Like, did you see his press conference where like,
crying? Yeah, good stuff.
And it shows how much, yes, deGrom signed the huge deal. He's got more money than he knows what to do with, but like, he wants to compete, he wants to be out there. And it's just got to be so freaking frustrating for him. His second one coming up to be like, just for him to know, I mean, he's probably the best pitcher that I've seen since peak Pedro.
That'd be my guess. Yeah.
Peak Randy. And just to lose seasons of that, not even just this season, next season, but we've lost a lot of already peak age deGrom, and it just, I don't know, just non-fantasy wise, just sucks to miss out on the prime of the best pitcher we've seen in 20 years.
Well, and the part that really kind of concerns me is the age. Like, he should have had this TJ already,
right?
But the age made it's like we saw it with Cueto, we've seen it with Tanaka. When they get older, they're like, okay, I'm going to pitch through it or call it a day, basically. And he tried to pitch through it, and it didn't work. So now it's like, really, like, do you get the Verlander? He has that monster season, but look at Verlander now. Do you get the Sale or look at Sale now? Like, there's just a lot of, God, this sucks.
But, age 37 season when we see him again. I mean, he might pitch like late next season or whatever.
Like Bloomfield's age, guys. He's Bloomfield's age. This is ridiculous.
Hey, I just turned 38, so I'm
not no spring chicken anymore. All right, Nestor Cortez. He goes to the IL with a shoulder injury. We never want to hear shoulder injuries. Randy Vasquez made his second start as a call-up. He started on Thursday, actually, part of the doubleheader. Threw 5 2/3 shutout to 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks. He's got an ungodly curveball, decent fastball, walk issues in the minor, but tons of strikeout upside. Not saying run out to get him, but this could be another guy to add to your rookie list this weekend. I don't know, but any thoughts on the nasty Nestor situation?
I mean, kind of explains, like, K rate was down with Nestor. He wasn't missing bats. The ratios, the expected ratios were all pretty rough. So I don't know. Just seems like something wasn't right, and I'm probably cutting him in 15 teamers. You just need the space. You need other guys. So it's rough. It's fun to see him pitch. I mean, just talking about like deGrom, but like watching Nestor mess with timing and different release points, all that stuff. I'll miss that. Hopefully he can come back and be Nestor again.
Hopefully. Rodon's trying to come back. We'll see if they can come back together. Brandon Lau, this is something I've mentioned too many times, and it's come to fruition here again. He's out with a back injury. The latest news, they're going to shut him down for 2 to 3 weeks, like nothing. Don't do anything, which for someone who's got back issues, that's the only way you kind of heal these things. Just throwing it out there. You just don't do anything. So you're going to sit out 2 to 3 weeks, reevaluate things from there. This took him out for a lot of last year. I don't see it not taking him out for more this year type situation.
I mean, this is what we talk about, not doctors, but this is what we talk about with back stuff. We've seen it with CJ Crone. We see it all the time. It's just this, it does not go away. So it certainly sucks for Brandon Lau. Rays are suddenly like, so Yandy Diaz, I think, has a hip
injury. He's expected back Friday. We'll see.
So like Taylor Walls is their second baseman right now, filling in for Lau. It's funny, we talked about Taylor Walls a few weeks ago. Saw it. I think Vlad
tweeted it out. Vlad, yeah.
Where Taylor Walls has been off. Like, yeah, he's still running. I think has like 6 steals in the last, whatever, couple weeks. I think is hitting like
0.077.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember seeing it very vividly when it came across my timeline.
Good recall. You don't have it up in front of you. That's impressive.
Yeah,
so I don't know. It's rough, but he'll play. I mean, Walls will play just because of the elite defense, but that's been a sudden downfall. Like, I don't know. Harold Ramirez is interesting to me, but I think he's rostered pretty much everywhere in 15s and 12s. But if not, I think that's an interesting guy in terms of like if these injuries keep piling up for the Rays, or if something happens with Diaz where the hip is a little bit more serious than we thought, Harold Ramirez could be a sneaky pickup. But yeah, Rays suddenly not as deep as we thought. And with Lau, like I was just saying this with Jorge Polanco, but how, what does this look like the rest of the season, even if Lau does come back and that sort of thing. So I think Lau's a pretty quick drop for me as well.
Yep, 100%. He's a very, very quick drop. Vidal Brujan got the call up, but I think he's more of a utility bat off the bench type situation. Pete Alonso, this one got worse for me on Thursday. Like Wednesday, left the game. They said it was day-to-day contusion. He got hit by a pitch on like wrist hand area. But then Thursday, I don't think he woke up feeling great because he had a CT scan in Atlanta, hopped on the PJ, went to New York to get an MRI and get further testing. That many tests in a 24-hour span got my head starting to think, oh, this isn't as good as I thought it was. Because usually, X-rays are negative. He's day-to-day. We'll see how the swelling goes. No, this was like quick
get on the flight. Yeah.
Quick 180 on what took place here. And he's strong enough to hit home runs with one hand, so I'm not too worried about that. But you might miss some big meat for like, what if he's got a fracture or something? He's got to like sit for a bit. Like, this is rough. This is a rough one.
Yeah. And like 22 homers this season. Pete Alonso, I feel like kind of underrated as one of the better.
Well, I'm mad because I went to bat saying I need power this year. I was circling big meat in the second round, and now here we are.
You did get your power, and you still will. I mean, he, like I said, already has 22. Could still hit 40 if this is not serious. Interesting that Mark Vientos started at first base on Thursday in a pretty wild game against Atlanta tonight, but also not only started at first base, but started against a righty. I think Vientos was pretty much just facing lefties after they called him up, and there was this free Mark Vientos campaign. Vientos isn't like I don't think he's like a stud prospect or anything like that, but if you need a fill-in or need a corner, I think Vientos, if this is serious, will get some pretty extended run and kind of escape that platoon going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you because I dropped Vientos last week because of the platoon, and I might be looking back into that situation is what it comes down to because I'm a believer in the hit tool. Maybe it means Vientos and Beatty can both play regularly. What a concept! That would be pretty sweet as well. So, because Francisco Alvarez started playing regularly, and look at him. So, see what happens.
He's been a monster. It's interesting how the Mets, despite everything going on with them, they just have this young wave of guys that they're using and sometimes not using. But Vientos, it's only 34 plate appearances, so not really worth diving into the skills, but just hitting 188 so far. But you really can. When you're playing like every 2 or 3 days, it's hard to get in a rhythm. Especially 100%. When you tack on, it's the first time really seeing major league pitching. Not easy.
Not easy at all. 2 more injuries to discuss here. First one, not happy about this one. Yordan Alvarez.
Silence?
Yordan, I might hang a jersey up in the dugout tomorrow.
No, that's our next guy.
That's our next guy, yes. Yordan Alvarez. he leaves with a right oblique injury. Like initially, you're thinking, okay, it's just maybe precautionary, whatever. But then I saw this quote on my drive home before the podcast. Dusty Baker with a rather ominous quote about Alvarez's injury. We just got to regroup and try to figure out how we're going to win some ball games and get through this. Dusty's an emotional guy. Let me say that as a guy that knows Dusty for years, coach managing the Giants. But that quote right there, that's not what you want to hear from a manager trying to keep a team focused on like things are okay. Like that is not good. And as someone that has a lot of shares of Yordan Alvarez, yeah, I'm not very happy right now.
No, and obliques, like we know what obliques can do. We saw what it did with
I don't
Teoscar.
physically, but yeah, they do.
We have seen. I don't think I've ever strained an oblique either.
I don't know if I have an oblique.
You probably do somewhere.
Way down there.
It sounds bad. It sounds really bad. Like maybe Dusty was, maybe the quote was out of context. I don't know, whatever. But like Yordan's going to miss time. So we'll get to see if this Corey Julks figure is legit. I think that's who really steps in and gets the most playing time while Yordan is out. Julks has 5 homers, 8 steals, hitting .261. Like that's all really good. Beneath the hood, 4% barrel rate, not all that. Striking out a good amount, not walking. So I'm a little bit skeptical of Corey Julks going forward, but we'll see. I think the playing time will be there. I think that's the guy who will at least step in. And hey, it's a great lineup. So there is that. Well, I probably shouldn't just assume. Houston is. I look at Jose Abreu. I look at Alex Bregman, who's doing okay.
There's some holes there, but
it's a good lineup. I'll say.
I like the Julks call. Who I would like to see get some regular playing time. We'll see. Is Yainar Diaz. He can play the outfield. He can play first base. He's the backup catcher. But, he's hitting .273 with 3 homers. He's only striking out 17%, which I like to see out of a young player. 13.6% barrel rate and a 47% R hit rate. The dude can hit. He can hit and hit really well. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a few extra DH days while he's not catching. I think that would be a fun little power boost to that lineup as well. So I like the Julks call for sure. Like we've seen him out there. He's getting good run. Lately he's been stealing. Like you mentioned, the 8 steals. A lot of those have come in the last couple of weeks with Julks. So I like that call. I would love to see Yainar Diaz get some love too. We'll see how that plays out.
Who probably would have the most fantasy value, more so than Julks if the playing time's there.
For sure. Last but not least, the man that we do put jerseys in the dugout for when things get really dapper. And that was the wrong word, but I just want to see if you're paying attention. Eloy Jimenez, he leaves yet again with a lower leg injury. He literally left and just pointed at his leg. It's just like they're on a first point basis now. That's how these things are going. You just know what's up with him. The reports already said day to day. Well, of course he's day to day. He's day to day. He could be on the IL tomorrow. That's just how this is going to go with Eloy Jimenez. And it sucks. He went deep in the first game of the doubleheader. He's been playing pretty well this year. Can't stay healthy. I have nothing really else to say besides this really, really saves Jake Burger's spot in the lineup.
Yeah, that was who I was going to bring up, Jake Burger. It's got to be Jake Burger time.
And he was dropped in a lot of leagues this past week, folks.
Big time power source. So if Burger is available, gobble him up.
That's the pretty quick and easy one on that. All right. Let's play our weekly game here where the lead is the same as it was last week. Ryan, what happened?
Yeah, man, we tied across the board. Your Ben Lively, my Tanner Houck tied 7 points each, playing innings, plus Ks, minus earned runs. Mike Yastrzemski, who did not play Sunday. I was a little bit surprised at that. I don't know what your boys are doing out there against a righty. Got 4 points, and Owen Miller kind of cooling down a little bit. Your pick last week.
He's not playing every day either.
Yeah, only got 4 points. So I don't think this ever happened where we tied both categories. So we are set at 10-5. Advantage Bubba.
Yep, that has not changed. But we have a fun weekend of action at Coors Field in play this weekend amongst some other juicy situations. So when you're looking at the Baseball HQ hitting reports, what do you see as some spots you'd like to target?
Yeah, the Coors thing, whenever we have Coors, we look at that with San Diego. I wanted to grab Gary Sanchez, honestly, for this. Would have been the first, I think, catcher eligible pick in our game of all time. But I think he was over 50%.
Let me check.
So
Oh,
got
I'm
to be
curious
under
after you said that.
50% in our. I think
He's
he was like
16%.
8%.
He's
Was he
16. Yeah.
16?
Yeah, I'm double checking him on. Yeah, RotoWire Online Championship, 16%.
Oh Jesus!
You can
All
change
right,
your
it's
pick now
already
if you'd
going down
like.
the hole.
You can change your pick now if you'd like.
No.
Well, seeing who you have out there, that's good.
Although we do get double points if you pick a catcher for position scarcity, so
Oh,
maybe
here
we'll
we
do that.
go. Ryan's going catcher every week now.
No, I'll keep it. But no, San Diego has, and Gary Sanchez, I mean, legitimately is, I think, a good catcher eligible pickup. If he is catcher eligible in your leagues, he is in mine. I got him in Tout Wars last week. San Diego gets two lefties, Comber and Freeland, then to Nelson Lamet. Oakland has a pretty good schedule this weekend going against three righties. So I also, for our game, tried to, maybe they were available. Who the hell knows? I was looking at the wrong league, but I was looking at Ryan Noda to see if he was available. He was over 50% rostered in 12 teamers, but any Oakland lefty, I think, is a great matchup this weekend. The Yankees lefties are also good against three Boston righties, and Garrett Whitlock, Tanner Houck, and Brian Bayo. The one matchup, Bubba, that I'm like really excited to see is Texas Tampa. So, like, according to HQ's ratings, Texas, who I don't know if quietly is the right word, but is like the best lineup in baseball right now, and it's not really that close. They pretty much bludgeoned the Mariners in their last series. Texas runs into Tyler Glasnow, Taj Bradley, and Shane O'Mac this weekend. So that's going to be series of the weekend to see how that goes.
Against Heaney, Big Nate, and Martin Perez. That's a fun.
Wow, that's a good one. If only like John Gray was the Sunday, then that would have been.
Oh, that'd be awesome. What man, John Gray? What a renaissance that man is on. But that's a whole other podcast.
We talk about Evaldi probably too much, but yeah, John Gray. Whew.
Amazing stuff there. So yeah, it should be a fun week. It is kind of weird seeing Texas at the bottom of the matchups list, but the matchups they're facing does check out quite a bit. Yeah, Oakland. Then they had a big series against Pittsburgh. They kind of woke up the bats, so that is a fun one to see there. Let's get into our picks for the week. I'll let you kick off. You kind of hinted at some players and a team you might be looking at the tough target. So who's your hitter for the week?
Hitter for the week is Gary Sanchez. No, I'm kidding. The hell is my hitter
before you say it? You can have Ryan Noda if you like, because he is eligible.
Man, I must have been looking at the wrong team. It's all good. I'll
take it. I don't know. You can have it if you want.
All right. I'm switching out. I'm going from Oakland lefty to Oakland lefty.
Because you texted me earlier today, so I know you wanted him.
All right, Ryan Noda. What's his percent in 12 teams?
10%.
10%. Man, I was looking at the wrong thing. So I'm gonna go on that Oakland against three righties, the Hauser, Julio Teheran, who I swear, man, this has to blow up at some point. And then Freddie Peralta, Ryan Noda, just unbelievable. And shout out to Britton Allen, who started a podcast in the off season. I remember one of his first episodes was talking about like 50th round picks in the NFBC, and he's talking about this Rule 5 guy that Oakland took. And even though Jesus Aguilar is there, Ryan Noda's the guy. That was a heck of a call by Mr. Allen. But yeah, no 415 OBP, man. That's insane. It's insane. I mean, and I know you know, but I didn't really recognize that 415 OBP with 7 homers. So that's my guy.
Yep, he's been hitting the second a lot lately. He led off on Wednesday and went deep, walked a couple more times. He's like the Lamont Wade on the other side of the Bay Area. It's pretty impressive to watch those guys do. But yeah, I like the Britton Allen. Shout out him and Carlos Marcano, who's an A's guy. They were both big on him in the preseason, and they got me like in my NFBC 50s and DCs. I have some Ryan Noda in my lineups, so it's because of those guys. I would not have any shares, so big ups on them. My hitter in all caps on the sheet, Joey. I call him Joey Weimer. We talked about him recently. I even wrote about him recently. Defense is always going to keep him in the lineup, but it's the bat that has really come on strong. As he, to me, I think he's getting comfortable playing Major League Baseball. He's not as like, hey, this is my gig, we're good. He entered Thursday riding a 8-game hitting streak where he's hitting 481, 5 doubles, 3 homers, 7 runs, 9 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. But what I loved, and it dropped a slight bit from last week, but over that 8-game hitting streak, he's walking 15.6% of the time, and he's striking out only 12.5%. the kid's plate discipline is turned, and that's what I cared more about anything I saw. Because like, is he going to hit that high the whole time? Not a chance. But the fact is, plate discipline is what it is for a kid his age. That was a big, big plus to me that he's starting to see the baseball. He's getting comfortable. They're still hitting him ninth, but it does not stop him from producing and running and scoring runs. And they get to face Maul, a lefty, Blackburn, and then Sears, the lefty, against the Oakland A's in Milwaukee this weekend. So Big Joey Weimer is my dude.
Good pick. And yeah, the plate discipline, like you said, that was the question going in. So good to see that uptick. Pitcher wise, I'm going to go Griffin Canning. Has a pretty good matchup against Seattle. I think less than 50% rostered in 12s. I have no idea at this point, but we'll just go with it. 5Ks, 9Ks, 4Ks his last week starts. The start against Griffin Canning's been really up and down. He started out with a ton of whiffs over his first 3 starts, had a great game against the White Sox at the end of May with 19 whiffs, 9Ks. I'm hoping that comes over, but there were a few good options, but Griffin Canning will go with him.
Yeah, we were texting earlier today. I said, for once, there's like a couple to pick from in pitching, which is very rare these days. And I went with Daniel Lynch. Daniel Lynch, we've done this dog and pony show with him in years past, but rehabbing in the minors, he looks really good. People are talking about like the velocity was there. He looks better. He's made 2 starts now, gone at least 5 innings in both, 3 earned runs and 2 earned runs, and more importantly, at least 6 Ks in both starts. For the game we're playing, I treat it like DFS. I want strikeouts because it'll make all the badness kind of slowly disappear. So I like the strikeout upside of Daniel Lynch, especially taking on the Baltimore Orioles with no said Mullins and a Baltimore Orioles team just in general that they're still a very good baseball team. Not going to deny that, but they've kind of quieted down a bit. And it's in Baltimore, so all the right-handed bats, they have the ballpark issues to deal with in left field. So I went Daniel Lynch looking for the strikeout upside.
Cool.
All right. Now what everybody really wants to pay attention to, it is our Bloom board of the week. So what do you got for us, Mr. Bloomfield?
All right. So the NFBC put out this is the first time they've done it, I think, in a couple years, but second chance draft. So drafted over this past week. So it usually starts around Memorial Day. It ran for about a week where you basically just draft a new team. And it's just a fascinating exercise of how much do you weigh, year-to-date stats, rest of season projections, all that sort of stuff. But what I figured we'd take for tonight's show is take that ADP from preseason, from the main event, 15 teams, and compare that with the second chance draft, see who fell the most, and then add our expert analysis, expert in quotes, on a 1 to 5 scale, who we think is going to rebound. A 5 being a full rebound, like back to their preseason market price, whatever. A 1 being least confident rebound, and things will either stay as is or get even worse for some of these guys. So I'll pull the board up for the YouTube viewers. I think I put it out on Twitter earlier today. And I filtered out all the like obvious injury guys just because that doesn't make for good content. So I tried to put guys in here who are mostly playing. I know Manoah's on there. It was just interesting to see Alek Manoah. Let me blow it up a little bit. Alek Manoah be the furthest faller. Alek Manoah from main event 62 ADP down to 254 last week. And I think with the news of the option, Alek Manoah would have gone undrafted. The other thing that you'll see with these boards is I do this all the time when I'm looking at ADP. I look at the value of the draft pick, not just they fell 10 slots versus 50 slots, falling from and we'll talk about Trey Turner in just a second, falling from the number 2 overall pick to the end of the first round is a big drop. Can be, just as much as a multiple round drop later on. So, that's why some of these kind of early round guys filter up to the top for the faders on the hitter side. So I don't know. We'll leave this 1 through 5. We'll do an interactive. I'll post the final results on Twitter, and we can see what everyone thinks about our thoughts.
Yeah, this should be a fun one because, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. With the second half drafts, there's a lot of strategy involved. Like I know Steve Weimer weighed in and said he was going off for projections. That's why he took XY. He's got a lot of guys on this chart that stood out to him based on projections, but some projections have not met reality so far this season. So that makes do you trust projections that they bounce back type scenario and then becomes a value on draft day, or do you believe there's an actual legit problem with what's going on? And so we'll start with Trey Turner. Trey Turner is the one up top here. You said earlier, second in the mains, 11th in the second chance drafts. So you said top of the first round, back of the first round now. He is, to say struggling is putting it nicely, pretty much. After Thursday, he's hitting a whopping 237 with 7 home runs and 8 stolen bases. He's striking out more than he has in many years, basically resembling his rookie season strikeout rate. His contact rates have dropped quite a bit as well. To say I'm not concerned would be an understatement. But what's your thoughts on Trey?
I think he's earned himself plenty of leash. I think this will bounce back. I don't think someone like this just kind of completely falls. I'm fine with the price. It's still being a first rounder. So at a 1 through 5 scale, I'll put Trey Turner as like a 4 to not get all the way back to the number 1 potential overall pick. But I think he's going to be a first round value the rest of the season. We kind of saw the power tick back. He had a couple homers this week. He's 8 for 8 on stolen bases. So you want to see a few more steals, a little bit greener light, but the speed's there. It just needs to run a little bit more. I think he'll be fine.
I'm going to give him a 3. I think he'll be fine, but I think he's more of a back end first round than a front end first round, if that makes sense. Because I think 3 basically says we're agreeing with the change is the way I look at it.
Yep.
And so I think it's a fair price. I think he's still a first round player. I think power will be okay. Speed should show up. He's got to start. The contact rate's got to improve in a big way. He's got to stop striking out, which is obviously simple things to say, but that's what we got to see from Trey. And if he does that, the numbers will be just fine. So not too worried about that in the grand scheme of things. Let's look at Manny Machado, 15th, back into round 1 in the mains, 48th. He's into round 4 in the second chance drafts. That's a drop, folks. That's a massive drop. And he's been injured a ton this season. Let's not sugarcoat that. Hitting 235, 5 homers, 2 steals. K rate's about the same as it was last year. Still not great. BABIP's down a ton. It's the quality contact metrics have just plummeted with Manny Machado. So what's your thoughts on Big Manny?
Concern that he's just playing hurt. I don't think that's a concern with that. It's probably the biggest difference between Manny and Trey Turner. It's I don't think Trey Turner's hurt or trying to fight through an injury. I mean, I don't know, but that's just what it seems like watching these guys. So I'll give Manny Machado a 3. It's kind of crazy. He's still this is age 30 season. And has quietly been the most consistent, a $30 player each of the last 3 seasons in 5x5, with great batting average, 30 plus homers. I don't know. I think things will be fine with Manny as long as I'm going to change it to a 2. I think I just worry that the hand is a little bit too much going on behind the scenes there. So I'll flip Manny to a 2.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I'm a believer that he was playing hurt and he's going to be better, but how much better is how healthy is he is the question. Since he's returned from the IL over 6 games, hitting 261, he's got a double, striking out 28%, no barrels, but a 56% hard hit rate, which is an improvement. Again, small sample. I'm not going to say it's anything crazy, but he was at least hitting the ball well, just no barrels. Man, I'm going to go 3. Give me 3. I still think he'll earn the 4th round value by the end of this, but it is a shame to see him drop the way he has. Jose Abreu, I'm not even going to pull up his stats. We've talked about those enough. He's a 107 in the main, 294 in the second.
Can I autofill this?
Yeah, you can just tell you. Yeah, you got me.
1-1. I don't think either of us see this turn. It's bad, man. I actually picked up Jose Abreu in my main event. He was dropped, I think, for $40. I just need someone, and it's a hope and a prayer, but I don't think that will get answered. So we've talked about Abreu a lot the last couple of weeks, so no need to rehash, but I think we're both not very confident. And either were these drafters with a 300 ADP. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, but on the bright side is you got J-Ram, Jose Ramirez, 4th in the mains, 11th in the second chance drafts, triple donged on Thursday night, just in time for the show. Now hitting 267 with 9 home runs, 5 steals. But what I find to be really, really impressive through all this, 9.6% walk rate, 8.8% K rate. He's only got 9 homers, but he still has a 207 ISO. So he's hitting with a power, or at least fantasy upside appeal. Barrel rate's the same as last year. Hard hit rate's slightly better than last year. Give me a 5 on this guy.
I'm going 5 too. I mean, I just and it helps that he ups his home run total by 50% in one game
He
today.
tripled it. Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, like he's going to be fine. The power metrics are actually pretty much in line, more or less, with the last few seasons. Would like to see a few more bags. He's 5 for 8, but he's at least running, and everything else looks fine. I think we're in for a summer of J-Ram, to steal a quote from our friend Scott Genstad.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that people kind of probably say I'm silly because I don't follow the numbers on this, but I watch certain teams, and teams produce together because that's why they're teams. The Guardians' offense has struggled a ton this year, and they've been slowly starting to hit. Look at the A's this past weekend. You look at when the Pirates are hot, when the Orioles are hot. They all start putting in the numbers. Not like it's very rare that J Ram's going to do it all by himself. Let's put it that way. So I think as things heat up this summer, good things will come.
It's interesting. So I think with these scores, we both take J-Ram over Trey Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Hitters that went above these two guys: Yordan Alvarez, who we just talked about, Shohei Ohtani, and Julio Rodriguez and Freddie Freeman. Would you take Jose Ramirez over any of Freddie Freeman, J-Rod, or Ohtani?
Over J-Rod for sure. I had this discussion recently. I'd take Corbin Carroll over J-Rod right now if you want to just compare young outfielders. So I will take J-Ram. I will take J-Ram over J-Rod right now. I wouldn't have taken him over Jordan when you drafted. He was healthy.
Right.
So
yeah.
Let's put that caveat out there for people
Jordan,
I wouldn't. Freeman, I don't think so, because the more we talked about Freeman this preseason, I developed a very strong appreciation for the man that I don't think I had before about just how ridiculously talented a guy that hits 300 time and time again is. Which J-Ram does, though. That's the thing.
Lineup's a little different. Lineup's a little different, which helps, but you're right.
Yeah.
They both do it.
So out of all those, a healthy Jordan and Freeman ahead, but I'd take him over J-Rod. What about you?
That sounds about right. J-Rod, J-Ram's a little that's tough for me, but I think I'd go Ramirez over Julio.
Yep, with you there. Taylor Ward, this is a fun one. 90th in mains, 201 in second chance drafts. He's got a 7-game hitting streak. He's playing pretty much every day outside of when he has the sniffles like he did on Wednesday. And he's hitting with power again. I think I'll give him a 4.
Okay. So you're much higher on Ward than I am. Like, the power's back a little bit, but it just seems so. And the playing time questions, I think, are a little bit answered. He just needed to. It was looking pretty grim a week or two ago for Taylor Ward, and he's kind of turned around a little. I just don't see. I see like a league average strikeout rate, a below league average barrel rate, someone who has only attempted 3 steals. Actually, he got a stolen base Thursday night, so 4. He's 2 for 2. I think Taylor Ward was overdrafted, drafted too early, I should say, early on. So I'll go a 2 for Mr. Ward.
Do you think he could have been playing hurt?
Could very well have been playing hurt. I mean, he kind of was last year. He has an injury history.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering, because all of a sudden he's looking good again. And he did this last year. Remember, he came out gangbusters, slumped, finished strong again. Like, this is the thing with Taylor Ward. Yeah. So you're going 2. You think he's not even worth the 201 draft pick?
No, that 201 sounds about right. So maybe I'm going 2.5, but I'll deviate from you just to
people don't like. We don't always disagree. So we're gonna have some fun with this. I'm just curious.
I just think there's a lot of, I don't know, at that price. Yeah.
No, yeah, that'll be interesting. Now this one, don't know. Michael Harris II, 38th in Maine, 83rd in second chances. I'll take a 1.
Wow. You would not have even sniffed Harris in the top.
No,
100.
he would be off my board. I know he's shown quote unquote slight positive adjustments of late, especially like in the Discord I'm in. There's some Braves fans that follow him religiously, so I get what they're saying and everything. I'm not seeing it though. He did have 2 hits on Thursday, but who didn't get a hit in that game? So let's grain of salt that one as well. He had a big game on Wednesday, but prior to that, he hadn't had a double-digit hit game since the 26th. A lot of zeros, it's bad. So no, I'm out.
I'll go a 2. I'm also not. I just don't see anything in the skills. The strikeout rate is going the wrong direction. There's not much power there. It's and it's still a top 80 pick. So like you still had to spend up to get Michael
That's the part I
Harris.
don't get.
And so I'll go with 2.
Michael Harris or Taylor Ward?
Michael Harris.
Harris, you take Harris over Ward. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Do we want to place a beer bet on this at First Pitch Arizona, please?
We could do that.
Yeah, it's on the record, folks. Whoever finishes we'll start June 9th, Friday, June 9th on.
We gotta finishes what with like more
the better Razzball player rating.
5x5. Oh, Razzball player rating.
Or do you have a better rating side? That's just an easy rating.
No, that works.
Yeah, June 9th on Taylor Ward, Michael Harris, the second. Let's have some fun with that one. Put that in the bottom of the dock or wherever. All right, Andres Jimenez. This is tilting because I was a believer. He's hitting. Well, he came after today's game where he went 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs. He's now hitting 245 with 3 homers and 7 steals. And over the last week or so, since May 30th, it won't count today's stats. I still get annoyed that they cannot do that after a game's done. He's hitting 355 with a homer and no steals, but 15% K rate, looking a little better. He was 82nd in mains, 174th in second chances. I'll take a 4.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go around a 3. I wasn't that in on Andres Jimenez before the season. I actually had his forecaster box, and what I write in the thing. It was a legit age 24 season, but could very well have been his career year. And I think I stand by that. Just everything right happened for Andres Jimenez last season, and we're just seeing the expected regression, especially in the power. The power hasn't been there, but he is still making contact. He is still running at a pretty decent clip with those 7 steals. So the 3 makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Gunnar Henderson, this is a fun one. 103 ADP in mains, 215 second chances. It's been well documented how bad it's been. Like I was just off the board. He went deep on Thursday, but before Thursday, from May 21st to June 7th, hit 243 with 2 homers, a stolen base. But what I like to see the most, only a 25% K rate, because that's been his big kryptonite. I'll go with a 3 on this one because I think he's much better than he was to start the season, but I think there's still a lot of holes that will make things interesting.
2 for me. I think the real bugaboo with Henderson, he doesn't swing. He has not swung. I shouldn't say he doesn't swing. He could always change, and it could be an approach change where this immediately kind of takes off. The power's always been there. I'm not too worried about the power, even when things were really bad for Gunnar Henderson. For me, it's just so passive on at the plate, and then he doesn't run. 2 for 3 on the base pass. Like there's just not much there from a 5x5 batting average league to get me all that excited. So knowing this is prospect pedigree and he could turn this on in a second, make me look like an idiot. I think that 215 second chance ADP is pretty warranted. So I'll go with 2.
Yeah, I was going to compare someone, but he's not on this board, so it's not as fun. But I was thinking Gunnar Henderson or Alex Bregman the rest of the season.
It's a tough one. I think I'd go. God, I think I'd go Bregman,
because they were going around each other in the mains. I know that much for sure. So they were like that cliff everyone talked about. And
I'd go Bregman.
Yeah, I think you'd have to. I think that's the right pick, but I don't know. I think upside wise, it's Henderson, but probably the safer floor is Bregman, if that makes sense to the listeners out there.
HQ projections for Bregman: 262 batting average, 3 homers and a steal, and then for Gunnar, it is, as it lows, 249, 12 homers and 8 steals, which I'd probably take the under on those steals. So you get a little more stolen bases with Gunnar, but better batting average and counting stats, I think, with Bregman.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right, Ahmed Rosario, 117 main, 232 second chance. This is our 3rd Guardians hitter on the list.
Yeah.
Wow is all I can say. He's got 1 home run of the year, 8 stolen bases. 1? Yeah, I'm going 1.
Damn. It's brutal because I love Ahmed Rosario. I don't know why. I've always been way too high on Ahmed Rosario, but the batting average like floor that I thought was there it has not been at all. I'll still go with 3. I think the contact rate is it peaked last season. It's back now to where it's kind of been throughout Rosario's career. But other than that, perfect 8 for 8 on the bases. Just needs to run a little bit more, a little bit of BABIP correction. I think gets Ahmed Rosario on base a little bit more, and that gets the value back up. But it's been a tough go, man. The 1 home run and 230 plate appearances. Like, you didn't draft Ahmed Rosario for his power, but you thought you'd get double-digit homers, and that's been got more than Tim Anderson.
He does have one more than Tim Anderson. That is very true. That is very, very true. Tim Anderson needs to be a study somewhere, and what the heck is going on.
I wonder why he's not on this list, but
because people still believe in him. He's not hurt. He's hitting for average. He's doing a little bit of everything else, just no power. So
Tim Anderson ADP 132 compared to Ahmed Rosario 232. So that's interesting. In the second chance drafts.
All right, Jordan Walker, ADP of 120 in the mains, 234 in the second chances. We know he got sent down. He came back on June 2nd, or played June 1st, played in June 2nd. He's hit safely in 4 or 6 games, but he's only hitting 200. He has 1 home run, 3 singles. He is only striking out 8.7% of the time. That's a plus. But one of the biggest problems was he hit the ball on the ground too much. He was supposed to go to the minors to fix that. He still has like a 67% ground ball rate since he's been recalled. And he flat out said that he didn't like the new adjustments they were making, so he's back to his old ways, and he'd rather just hit the ball hard on the ground than not hit the ball at all. So I'll say 2 to be nice, but I foresee Jordan Walker going back to AAA if everyone gets healthy. So I should probably say 1, but I'll say 2 to be nice.
I hate to agree with you, but that's my exact same thing. Like, I should do a 1. Just because we haven't seen much. And there's like some playing time. I mean, we talked about this on the show last week. Like, I don't think playing time's locked in really at all right now for Jordan Walker. But I'll bump it up to a 2 just because his name is Jordan Walker, which is probably bad process. But in saying that his name is Jordan Walker, I mean, there is legitimate like scouting and prospect potential with him. So I don't know. I'll go 2. Next guy's interesting, man. Still in the first round. Our boy, boy.
This one hurts.
Kyle Tucker. Fall from 7 to 14. I mean, not that much, but
not that much. It's very justified. So 3 would be I agree with the move, and he's still going to be good, right? I'll take a 3 then. I agree with the change in ADP. 8 homers, 8 steals. He's going to be a 20 plus guy, but it's not the guy we were hoping for when we picked him at 7. But I still think he'll be pretty good.
Interesting. It looks like to me the biggest change with Kyle Tucker has really just been trajectory. Same strikeout rate pretty much. Actually, a little bit better strikeout rate than he's shown in the past few years. Still running all the time. Or not all the time, but still running quite well. Hitting 48% hard hit rate. Last year was 42. So he's actually hitting the ball harder than last year. It's just a fly ball thing. 10-point drop in fly ball rate from 47% last season to 37% this season with Kyle Tucker. That's why you see not as many home runs, but a batting average up to 275. I'm going to go 4. I think Kyle Tucker is just fine. I'm not too worried about him at all.
All righty. Last hitter on the board. Oh, 3 more hitters on the board. As he scrolls down,
we can just do Teoscar. It's all good.
I don't care. Teoscar, we can do them. We can do them all. It's cool.
All right.
Teoscar, 72 main, 132 in the second chance drafts, 243 average, 10 homers, 3 steals, massive 33% K rate. I'm concerned, I think is the nice way I can say it. The barrel rate and hard hitter still decent, but it just feels like something. I think he might be hurt, to be honest with you. He's just not producing the way I would expect Teoscar to produce. Even when his BABIP's not horrible, it's pretty close to last season. It's a weird approach to what's going on with Teoscar, so I will go with a 2.
Taking the long view with Teoscar, like taking a step back at kind of his career. Teoscar, and last year there was the oblique, but we kind of blamed the poor performance when he came back on the oblique. It's been 2 years since Teoscar's really been any good. He's 30 years old. You mentioned like the K rate is off. Could be playing hurt. Who knows? I'm worried. I'm going to give him a 2 as well. I think Teoscar at 132 ADP, it was a little bit pricey for me. I don't see. I don't know. The plate skills look atrocious right now.
Yeah, just looking at that, his O swing's almost 40%. Like
Yeah.
that ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it at all. Like I'd take Taylor Ward over him, to be honest. So that's
You
a
go
that's a
that
fun
far. Come on.
one. Bobby Witt Jr., 11th in Maine, 20th in second chance leagues. To me, he's doing pretty much what you'd expect: 10 homers, 19 steals. The average you'd hope to be better at 234, but he wasn't. His OBP skills are dreadful, but we knew that coming into it. He only hit 254 last year. He wasn't lighting the world on fire when he went 2030. So he's like almost 2040 right now with just a lower batting average. So I don't really know what you're expecting from Bobby Witt. So in that regards, I'll say 4.
I'm with you. I think we focus a little bit too much on the lack of batting average. The BABIP's been pretty brutal for Bobby Witt. Power, speed is there, and you said you extrapolate that homer and stolen base total out to a full season. It's pretty freaking sweet. I think Bobby Witt should be a first-round pick.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better potential quote-unquote values we've seen so far in this game. Maybe I should almost put him a 5 with a comment like that. And then we have Javi Baez, good old Javi Baez. 3 homers, 5 steals, hitting 220. Only this is the part that I've looked at his profile a few times. Basically a 21% K rate. It's the best of his entire career. His BABIP rate is through the floor compared to most things. I'll let you talk about him more because I keep talking about all these hitters and don't give you much of a chance, but it's baffling looking at his profile. I'll say that much compared to what we've seen when he struggled in the past. You can kind of like point to it. It's weird this year. It's weird. Like there's gains in situations where we used to blame, if that makes sense to people. So yeah, what do you got on Javi?
Yeah, he's like basically backwards with striking out less, but not hitting for like really any power. Baez has 5 barrels all season in 235 plate appearances. That is awful. One of my concerns with Javi Baez was he did not run all that much with Detroit in his first season. I wondered if that would carry over into Baez's second season, that 5 for 5 on the base pass. Like he's not running wild, but seems like a legit 15 stolen base guy. Give him like a 3. I think he's fine in middle infield, but like I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with a 3. I think like 250 is probably around the right ADP for him.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I think this is who he is now, but that ADP wise isn't bad. So I'm with you on 3.
Pretty cheap.
I think that's a fair ADP at 3. So we'll go there. I'll let you run the show on the pitcher side so you can have some fun with this one.
Let's both give ones to Mr. Manoah. I was going to take him off just to throw it in there, but it was interesting to see Alek Manoah go from 62 to 254. Corbin Burnes.
Still drafted. It was nuts to me.
Corbin Burnes. 3rd round Corbin Burnes. It's been really bad. It's been a little bit better lately. What has Burnes done in his last? I know his last start was pretty electric. Last 2 starts, 16 Ks, 4 walks. So like maybe something's turning around. However, I'm going to look at the full season here. I see a full tick mile an hour drop in fastball velocity. I see a 3-point drop in swinging strike. I see a 9-point drop in K- walk. Like really nothing looks good for Corbin Burnes. And I mean, this is kind of just my like outlook on pitchers is I don't bank on regression back to their baseline as much as I do on the hitter side. Just because I think pitchers can change more and you start losing velocity, you're not quite the same guy. So Corbin Burnes, I'm going to do a 2 on. I think he's more like a 4th, 5th round pitcher the rest of the way.
Yeah, we're going to disagree on this one, which is fun.
All right, good.
I've been watching Burnes. I haven't like watched all his starts, but just between DFS and other stuff, I've been paying attention to seeing how he's been developing because he was a very vocal person about hating the pitch clock. And if you look at his windup, he does like a half. He doesn't even look a full windup. It's not a full stretch either. He has a little bit of a different here, this and that. But over his last 6 starts, I'll take a little broader deal. The 3rd start against the Astros, he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. Okay. Other than that, all quality starts, 5 quality starts. He's thrown 38 innings in those 6 starts, 43 Ks, 14 walks. That's good for an 18.8% K to walk, which is much better than we saw earlier in the year. He's got a 2.84 ERA, a 3.96 xFIP. xFIP is obviously not ideal, but still we've seen that improvement, which I want to see. Velo on the fastball over these 6 starts is up to 95.4. But what we've seen is it went 94.6, 95.8, 95.6, 96.5, 95.1, then 96 his last time. So the last 3 starts, 2 of the last 3, we've seen it in the 96s, which is closer to last season. So what I'm starting to wonder is if he's getting comfortable with the pitch clock, he's starting to find a way to do things. I'm just looking at grain of salt things. I don't think he's a 3rd round guy, maybe 2nd I'd be okay with. I'll take a 4 on this one.
All right, citing that league average strikeout minus walk over his last 6 starts.
Compared to
he's been so much better in the last 6 starts that he's now league average.
Hey, someone was complaining about his velocity, which has actually been ticking up over his last few starts. So that's he had a 14.9% K to walk on the season. So I'll take the 18.8 over the last 6.
Clay Holmes next up. And actually one of the questions we got, we'll kind of loop listener questions into this since we frankly didn't have that many. We're going a little bit over, but Ben Tidd asked, like, which kind of position group did I notice that was falling the most or least? Relievers, to me, like, very few relievers fell. And I think that's just a product of, one, like, our total lack of faith in the closer market, but 2, the top end closers have been pretty good this year. So there have not been that many guys that have fallen. Clay Holmes is one that fell and fell a lot, from 85 to 191. Clay Holmes was going in second chance drafts. I mean, Clay Holmes has a 2.84 ERA. The K minus walk is league average at 18, only 6 saves. So I'll go 3 just because I think Clay Holmes still will get some saves, and we need that. He had a save this week, 2 saves over the last month. But the price isn't too bad, 190 for me. So I'll go with a 3.
I'll go with a 4 because he was really good early, kind of got scuffled up. Obviously, he got sent, what did he go, IL? Then he started out like the 6th and 7th inning, got replaced. He's back in the closer's role as at least the primary guy. It's not full-time because you still see Wandy Peralta once in a while and a few other guys. King's out of the picture now. Holmes actually picked up the same in game 2 of the doubleheader on Thursday, his 7th of the season, and he's looked really good. Now he's kind of got whatever is wrong between his ears figured out. So I'll go with the 4 on Clay Holmes.
All right. It's Blake Snell time, man. The last couple years, second half Snell has been a thing.
Yeah.
92 ADP in the mains, 188 second chance. I'm going to go, I just don't see, I want it to happen. I'm going to go 3 until Blake Snell can pitch deeper into games and stop walking people. Even the last couple starts, Blake Snell has thrown 12 scoreless innings over his last 2, still has walked 3 in each of those starts and only went 6 innings of scoreless. So, like, I don't know. It could very well be second half Snell again this season, but I don't really think that's a thing, a first and second half guy, so to speak. And so until Blake Snell kind of reigns in that control, I think we're going to see more of what we have seen from him.
Yeah, it's weird. He's getting like the good outings, limited the damage. Getting his strikeouts, but the walks are still atrocious, which could lead to blowups from time to time. So I'll take a 3 with you as well.
All right. Verlander. Justin Verlander going from 27 to 53. It's ugly, man. It's ugly. You tack on the 8. I mean, obviously starting out injured, that probably doesn't affect his second chance ADP that much. I think the second chance folks are looking at some pretty shaky skills from Verlander. The swinging strike is in single digits, which you don't want to see, just not missing many bats. HQ's expected ERA 4.36, which is right in line with a 4.25 ERA. I think Justin Verlander, you tack on the age, you tack on the it's like 0.7, 0.8 mile an hour drop in fastball velocity. I'm going to go with 2 for Mr. Verlander. I think at an ADP of 53, I still think that's a little bit too early.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll take a 2 as well. I was kind of surprised to see this ADP here. He seems to be kind of broken is the right word, but he's definitely not the Verlander of old. He's put together a couple decent starts with a lot more blowups than decent. So that velocity at swinging strike is a big concern.
Would you take And these guys are going right next to each other. It's next on our list. Aaron Nola went from basically Verlander and Nola 26 and 27 ADP respectively, 51 and 53. You like Verlander or Nola the rest of the way?
I probably still go Nola because I'm just got a blind eye to him.
I like it.
But like you look at Nola and it's the same garbage every
know.
single year. It's like he still gets the innings, he's still getting the strikeouts. It's like the one stupid inning that screws it all up. But when he doesn't have it, they're elite starts. So I'm gonna go Nola still.
So like sounds like a 3, like more
Yeah,
than Verlander,
yeah.
but you're still not all that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna go 4. I think this turns around. You're still getting strikeouts with Nola. The K rate has dipped a little bit, but I think that comes back. I'll go 4, and maybe that's just me being a little bit too optimistic, but maybe I'm hoping that 4 to go in existence. Brady Singer, 170 ADP, main event 338. What do you think about that for Mr. Singer, who we've talked about him a couple times on the show, is pretty much falling apart this year?
Yeah, I go with a 1 for Brady Singer. When you pitch as much contact as he does, it's batting practice.
Go 1 as well. Not singing his praises. All right, this is the one I want your thoughts on because he was a fade for both of us, big time.
Mm-hmm.
You drafted him in Barf, I think.
Barf because he fell so
because
far.
He fell to what, like, what'd you? I don't know where he, like 75,
like,
something like that.
Oh yeah, I want to say it was like the 5-6 turn or something.
Which would be,
I was on the turn.
I think it was like
nuts.
75. Dylan Cease ADP has dropped from 49 to barely in the top 100. Would you take Dylan Cease 100th overall?
No, because he's doing everything we were concerned with. Like given I took him ahead of 100 earlier, I would not now because I'm seeing what we were scared to see. Is what it comes down to. He's walking guys. He's not going as deep into games. Just not fooling guys like he was before. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 1.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Would you take Dylan Cease over Hunter Brown, Julio Urias, Pablo Lopez, Hunter Green?
No.
That's kind of the pocket he was going in.
I would take all those guys over him. The only concern I could see with like a Hunter Brown would be innings eventually, but no.
The walk rate has not gotten any better. I thought we could count on Dylan Cease for like elite strikeouts, 74 Ks and 68 innings. It's not doing it for me. And the swinging strike is down 3 points. That's a huge drop from 15% to 12%, which is kind of just like league average. So I'm a 1 as well. We are Cease haters.
Yep.
We have been for
cease and desist on this show.
There we go. Ryan Helsley, one of the other closers. I think the only other closer on here. 58 to 109. I'm gonna go like a 2, just because I worry about Giovanni Gallegos getting a little bit too much of that save share in St. Louis. I didn't think, like, I thought Helsley was the guy coming into the season, but that hasn't been the case really at all. I think does Gallegos have more saves than Ryan Helsley?
I think Helsley has got a 6th or 7th, so they're really close.
Gallegos has 7.
Yeah, then he might have the same or more. Yes.
With a 3.70 ERA, and Helsley has a 3.24 ERA with 7 saves, even split.
I'll agree with you on the 2. I can't go 1 because that's just wrong. But the Gallegos thing is real. I on this board, I'd rather have Clay Holmes than Ryan Helsley if I had to pick between the 2, and that says a lot to me, at least based on their ADP.
Yeah, and Holmes went 90 picks later than Helsley. Mm-hmm. All right, Sandy Alcantara. This is fascinating. From 28 to 52. Would you take the Sandy man as a top 50 pick?
Nope. For the same reasons I was out on it before, he's doing it. He needs the innings. He needs a lot of things to be productive, and he's getting none of that right now. He's not fooling batters. He's not getting the strikeouts consistent like you'd hope for. He's walking too many guys. I will give him, out of respect, a 2.
It's interesting, the pocket of pitchers that he went right behind Aaron Nola, who we just talked about, right ahead of Verlander, but also Tyler Glasnow went 1 pick after Sandy Alcantara, which is like pretty fascinating to me because that's a juxtaposition of like your innings, your bulk guy versus Glasnow, who on a per inning basis is
better than all those guys.
Is elite. So I'll go with 3 for Sandy. No, yeah, I'll go with 3. I think he comes back a little bit, but it's been. I mean, and that means I would take him at 50. Like I think that's probably about right. And I don't know. I think I'd go Nola over Alcantara right now. I'd go Sandy over Verlander. I'd probably go Glasnow over Sandy right now as well. Over all of them.
I take Glasnow over all of them. Yeah,
he's healthy right now.
Exactly, he's healthy now. And if I'm trying to win a second half, it's basically it's not a sprint. It's still 4 months, but it's more of a sprint. I want the guy that's got the elite skills.
Last but not least, Shane Bieber, who, despite the surface stats, has dropped from 44 to 79. What is Bieber's ERA? No, 357. It's going north.
Yeah, it's wrong. That's a friendly 3.7 because I roster Shane Bieber, unfortunately, and I want to sit him every week because he does nothing for me except kind of helps ratios. It's painful to have him in that spot because he does not get strikeouts. He's not fooling anybody, and a blow up is coming. It's coming in a bad way. So, give me a 2.
I did not realize Shane Bieber has 6 strikeouts per 9 innings this year.
It's horrific. It's absolutely dog.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's bad. I almost gave him a 1.
Stealing your 1.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good. And the worst thing is they're going to try to trade him. And they're talking about trading them to Cincinnati. That contact skills in Great American Small Park. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Graham Ashcraft says, what's up?
Oh, did you? Yeah. The Ashcraft start against the Dodgers today went about as planned. So.
That's planned.
All right, good stuff. I'll post this tomorrow. We are much higher, and this is probably about right. We're higher on the hitters rebounding in general than the pitchers. There's a lot of red on our pitcher side, but yeah, interesting stuff, man.
It checks out. All right, a couple listener questions before we head out. First question from the YouTube chat here, Mr. Roger Bloomfield. Whoa. He asks, Gary Sanchez or Elias Diaz this weekend in Coors? I think you hit this one earlier, Mr. Sanchez.
Mr. Sanchez it is. Gary Sanchez.
Oh, Gary. Boom Zoom on Twitter. That's quite an interesting list. Can't wait to hear you guys break it down. My question is about the 3 Cleveland bats on it. If Jose wakes up, which seems to be happening as I type, he only had 2 homers at the time of this. Will the other 2 get going also? Not even going to ask about Bell and hope Naylor takes over. I think we both said.
So you gave Andres Jimenez a 4. I gave Andres Jimenez a 3. And we gave Ahmed Rosario a 1 and a 3. Andres is going a little bit earlier. So we're obviously much higher on Jose Ramirez rebounding and lukewarm on the other 2.
Yep. That sounds about right. Ben Tidd, you mentioned this about which group is going up, but then he also says, I don't know about you guys, but but if I had done any second chance drafts, there's no way I would have considered Michael Harris at 83. Same, Mr. Tidd. And I only brought this up because it's not a question, but if people go to that tweet, there's a thread involving projections and everything worth checking out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
from some very smart people as well.
Yeah. So Steve Weimer is on that, and some others. So
Brian Jenner as well. You were very low on Harris with the 1. I at least gave him a 2. I'm just a nicer guy.
You are. Trust me, people have told me that my whole life, so it's okay. It's nothing wrong with that at all. But that'll do it on the listener questions. Kind of bummed. They've been kind of quieting down on the listener front. But we'll see where it goes. Final thoughts as we wrap up another episode of Bubba and the Bloom.
No, man. Let's see end of season how this kind of turns out. Maybe we'll just do a quick episode in September or something where we pull this thing back up and cringe.
Well, it'll be fun to do a couple more things in the next month or so like this because we did the pitching one where all of a sudden Woodruff, would you be buying over under on certain guys? So those are kind of fun interactives because I was actually thinking, we're 2.5 months into the season. I'm not thinking for this show, but just in general, it's really time to be, hey, do I keep or cut certain players? It's really serious time it brings me to my over-under point, basically. Are you a believer? You're not a believer anymore. And so we're at that time of the year, and it's time to basically take your chances and be right or wrong and just deal with it. And that's why it kind of goes back to the Elly De La Cruz. Hey, we're going to pony up and run, or we're just going to sit on it and, hope I can piece it together with other guys throughout the way. It's that time of the year to start. We've passed Memorial Day. Be like by the time we record next week, we'll almost be
mid-June.
Yeah, it's getting crazy how fast it's going by. So, yeah, it's time to S or get off the pot, as they say. So, what are your final thoughts as we do this? We'll get some more Bloom boards coming and fun stuff from there.
Just buckle up for this weekend. Can't wait to see those Elly De La Cruz bid. It's going to be. I like this is the fab period I'm most looking forward to, just because of when we said it at the top. But like it's easy to blow a lot of money early in the season. Now it's like you need to think about how much is left versus how much do you need to just shoot your shot right now and go for it. So we'll see, man. It'll be fascinating.
It'll be awesome to see. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. Quick thing, we probably should have let off the show with this. We'll do it more often and annoy you guys with it. But FPAS dates have been released. If you want to golf with us that Thursday, let us know soon, because we'd like to start organizing it a little more seriously than last year, if that makes sense to anybody. Like, it was still great last year, and if that's how it works this year, cool. No problems with that at all. But if, we get a bigger group, because there were more guys that were interested, more guys or gals, doesn't matter. We'd love to kind of maybe put something a little more, formal is the right word together, but I know that place will take care of us if we bring a bigger group type situation.
Yeah, we did the proof of concept last year with 2 foursomes. It was great. The course was nearby. It was awesome. So I'd love to get to like 20 and make it I think you need to get to 20 to make it like a event or an outing, tournament, whatever, and you can add on different kind of activities, longest drive, close to the pin, all that kind of stuff. So
they would accommodate us for sure at I just totally blanked on the name of the place, but they will.
Dobson Ranch,
and they have a fun atmosphere there, so they will 100% accommodate us there.
Yeah, it's golf but louder. So
yes,
out there, but
yeah. So,
but no, but yeah, we do need to start plugging FPAS at the beginning of the show and the golf thing. So that's a good point.
Yep. But all right, make sure you guys check out Ryan on Twitter at RyanBHQ, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod. I'm on Twitter at BDentric. And until next week, this was Bubba and the Bloom, episode 60. Catch you all next time.